Geek Out! Hey, and welcome to another installment of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
I'm Josh.
Here with another interview this week. I think this is a good time for, the comic industry is, the only print industry that's actually seeing growth.
Yeah.
Newspapers ain't, magazines aren't. It's bookstores, big box bookstores are shutting down. I think Barnes & Noble is the only game left in town. But comics is thriving. And that includes self-published comics because there's so many different channels to do it now. So we're here to promote a self-published comic book startup based out of Richmond called Plume Comics. We've got one of their... we've got them all hostage. No, we've got Austin.
Sign up for memberships or we'll never let them go.
Now we've got Austin Eichelberger talking about Plume Comics. Of course, the actual site is in the episode description. But yeah, let's let Austin talk about Plume. And joining us this week, we've got Austin Eichelberger. He's here talking about Plume Comics, which is his is a Richmond-based independent comic book company. It's basically this cool imprint where you can basically subscribe and get all the Plume comic book creators work at your fingertips. Austin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, how did the whole Plume startup come about?
It really started, a friend of mine who is the CEO of the company, Alex Odom, came to me with the idea. He just kind of thought comic books were stagnating. They weren't quite moving into the future. And he had some ideas for how to do it. So we sat down and started figuring it out. And Plume was kind of born out of that.
What were some of the advantages? Because I feel like nowadays with self-published comics and that sort of thing, there's just so much opportunity available for comic book creators to kind of put their own original work out there without having to tie into a set event or relaunch every 6 months. What is it about the self-published and the Plume model that really kind of distinguishes itself from other indie comics platforms?
Well, we distinguish ourselves partially because I agree with you. I think there are so many ways now to sort of get your work out there, but unfortunately, most of them still don't pay very well and don't really enable the artist to keep making work. Mm-hmm. It's like so many of the comics that are released as web comics online or page by page online. You have to wait so long to get a complete story arc because these people have to work other jobs. Plume gives 60% of its net profits back to the creators. And we do that based off the number of clicks on each title. So what we're trying to do is set up a really sustainable platform for these creator-owned comics so that people don't have to sell them to someone else to be making money off of them consistently. That's sort of our big thing with it. And being able to create a large library of really diverse indie titles all together in one place. That's really something we're looking forward to, that diversity of voices.
I mean, speaking of voices, you're also you've also contributed and written for Plume. What was it about? How long have you kind of had the writing itch?
Oh, well, I have a master's degree in creative writing. I've been writing for about 10 years now. So I've published about 80 pieces outside of comic books. So I'm very comfortable with the writing world. Writing is I really sort of consider myself a writer. I've really never considered myself a business person before Plume came along. And so, yeah, I've been writing for a long time. I love writing, but I've dabbled in a lot of art. That's one reason why I love comic books and I love graphic novels, because I think it's a place where so many different crafts come together and sort of unify into one craft. I don't know. I just think comic books are really fascinating. I've been reading them since I was a very small child. So
what did you get into?
Sort of a lifelong passion for me.
What did you get into initially? What were some of those early first gen comic books?
The very first title I read was X-Men. I also loved Batman, but I was really into the X-Men, sort of X-Men related titles.
Was it because of the animated
that was really
series?
Where I was at the youth. It totally was not, actually. I didn't. I started reading before the animated series came out. I actually didn't like the animated series because it didn't follow the comics closely enough.
Sure.
So it was because of my older siblings. I'm the fifth of six kids, and my older brothers all read comic books, and they were enough older than me that they got me into some of the sort of dark, intense, really cool storylines that I probably wouldn't have gotten into on my own. And so, yeah, it sort of turns me into sort of a mega fan.
I mean, that was I was a big. I mean, one of the first comic books I ever owned was the Jim Lee, Chris Claremont, X-Men #1. So yeah, I was totally right there with you. Of course, the entire Claremont run, Mutant Massacre in the '80s, and all that, Dark Phoenix. But was it tough to kind of transition from being a career writer to suddenly find yourself more in this business role, in working for a startup and helping get this company off the ground?
Well, I primarily work up until a few months ago as a teacher. And so I'm pretty used to leadership roles. I'm pretty used to sort of working with big ideas and trying to pull them into the physical world, into fruition. And so the transition was easier. If you'd asked me this question before I did it, I would have said that's going to be really hard. Now I'm like, oh, wow, okay, that's sort of a natural transition. That's interesting. Yeah, it was much more natural than I sort of figured it would be. Yeah, and like I said, I'm passionate about comic books and I'm passionate about this medium, and so that has helped a lot. I sort of have an internal drive to get to know this industry and do this, you know what I mean? I'm not dragging myself to work. So that helps a lot. But yeah, it's been an interesting transition, but it's been one I've noticed that a lot of skills that I cultivated in other parts of my life have really come in handy and have really sort of come around full circle now that I'm working in this capacity.
Sure.
So it's been fascinating.
How now for our listeners at home, about how extensive is the Plume Snake library?
We have about 25 titles up now, and I think we have about 15 in talks right now. And we're getting more. We get more submissions every single week. So we just launched on June 1st. So that's all been grossed since the 1st, so about a month and a half, which we're really proud of. We're really happy about. So it's always getting bigger.
And to start up a subscription, it's just $5 a month?
Correct. It's $5 a month, but we're actually running a promotion right now where you get your first month free with a promo code. So you can try it out risk-free. Try it out without even spending a dime and see how you like it. So,
and at the same time, $5. There are some like comic books that come out on a monthly basis from the big two that are $5. Like this is a steal for the amount of comics that you get.
That's what we think too. That's what we were telling ourselves. We went to Houston Comic Palooza, and we were walking around the booths, looking around, and we saw one small press selling print editions for $7, and we were like, "Whoa, $7!" So we agree with you. We think the same thing, that it's a really good deal, especially because we think you're getting such a diverse aesthetic. You're not just getting the Marvel heroes or the DC heroes, or you're getting all these different indie voices, you know what I mean, come together. And so you're getting a really different aesthetic and a really cool, diverse set of perspectives and voices and stories.
Now, in terms of taking submissions, which you can also, for our listeners at home, you can also do directly through the Plume Snake website. What are some of the criteria you're looking at when it comes to creator submissions to get published on this platform?
We're looking for unique stories. We're looking for well-written stories, well-rendered art. But we're really looking for good storytelling, just visual and written, just good storytelling and good stories. If it touches us and moves us, we're really likely to accept it. So it's really, we're looking for high-quality stuff. We're looking for work that really tries to transcend what most people think of as a comic book or a graphic novel. Stories that sort of elevate the medium and take it somewhere that most people wouldn't assume it could go.
Now, would you? Is this something where you would need both? Like, say yourself as a writer, if you didn't have an artist, would you be able to just use it kind of as a forum to find an artist for a pitch, or is it more fully formed for proposals and that sort of thing?
So the submission process that we have set up is really much more for fully rendered work. However, we do have message boards where people can connect, and we are actually, your brain is in the right place. We actually have plans to move toward something like that, an aspect of our website that would allow creators to connect in that way. We have plans to launch that in the future as a part of Plume Snake. So that's coming, but it's not here yet.
So you guys have been, you've launched a month and a half ago. Have you any plans to kind of like build a significant con presence moving forward? And if so, which cons?
Oh, absolutely. Really, as many as we can get to. Though we're starting with small ones. I live in Santa Fe, and so we're starting with small ones in sort of the regions where we live. And so we'll be going to a few in Richmond and on the eastern seaboard, and then we'll also be going to a few in Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, this area. So we're kind of trying to keep our eye on the ones that we can get to the easiest right now as we start up. But we're hoping in the next year or so that we'll be able to expand that and be able to explore some other areas of the country through the con.
Well, yeah, sure. Definitely, at least in the Virginia area, which is where we are recording out of, the Richmond's got, Richmond Comic-Con, Fredericksburg, which is about halfway between Richmond and D.C., just started up. I think they're going to try to do annually FredCon. And then, D.C. has Awesome Con, Baltimore Comic-Con.
There's Tidewater Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how many there are now. They're popping up absolutely everywhere, which we love, which we're really happy about, especially because we represent these smaller indie creators, you know what I mean? And so we really love going to these small cons and being able to connect with those people, sort of make some more of those solid connections with these little guys who aren't getting as much attention. Guys and girls who aren't getting as much attention.
I feel like comics is the one print market in the United States that is still seeing growth. Like every other, like newspapers, like traditional books, everything else is taking the hit on the chin. But what do you think it is about the comics industry that continues to endure and really thrive?
Well, I think part of it is that people have only just begun taking it seriously as an art form. Widespread main population. And so a lot of people are just beginning to realize what comic books can do. When you're well-versed and you know some of these sort of more literary titles and you realize that, there have been Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novels and things like that, it's not that astounding. But when you talk to a general audience who isn't familiar with comic books and they start to see what they can really be, you know what I mean? I think that's really fascinating to people. I think it really draws people in. I think a lot of people still think only of superheroes, and you know what I mean, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they sort of neglect the rest of the wondrous world that graphic novels and comic books can be. I think part of it also, though, is brilliant marketing on the part of DC and Marvel as they roll out these comic movies. I think the movies are having a really big effect on the print sales. It's just something so tangible, something so recognizable. I sort of think to myself sometimes, when you walk through a bookstore, you see so many covers, and you don't really stop to grab one unless it really grabs your attention or you recognize it. And I think the movies have allowed so many people, I should say, to recognize characters on comic book covers and titles of comic books and things like that, that it's sort of given that shelf presence much more value. Does that make sense?
No, totally. And it's interesting, but I think the big two are certainly a good kind of like gateway into the world of comics. But I work freelance for Image Comics on the side, and they're huge. Like their books sell. Some of their books sell as well as monthlies, like Saga. Of course, The Walking Dead, just flies off the shelves.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So it's interesting in watching and seeing that what was the traditional, though I guess DC Rebirth has kind of reinvigorated DC, for the biggest it has in months.
I think so, yeah.
If not years.
Yeah.
But for a while, like in the midst of the New 52, Image was gaining on DC pretty hard. So it's interesting to me to see that kind of that level of interest in creator-owned books.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think part of that exists also because I think a lot of it comes back again to the stereotypes of comic books, and a lot of people go, or stereotypically think to themselves, it's just a bunch of nerdy boys reading comic books, nerdy teenage boys, and that's just not the case anymore. Females of all ages are really interested in comic books. Males of all ages are really interested in comic books. Now that you're getting more representation of LGBT people and racial minorities, you're finding that everyone's interested in comic books. You know what I mean? And so obviously we're not all going to read the same type. I actually think Image has the best model out there right now of those big three of DC, Marvel, and Image. I think Image is the one doing it right. I love this idea of no cohesive universe, just allowing people to really tell their stories. Because some of the books that Image is putting out right now are just phenomenal. I really love what they're doing. I think they're paying really great respect to the creators who make the work,
Mm-hmm.
So
I would be remiss if I didn't ask, what are some of your favorite Image books?
I love Pretty Deadly. Pretty Deadly is freaking awesome. I think it's like a visual poem. See, Pretty Deadly is one that Alex and I agree, it really elevates the medium. It really sort of takes it to another place. I don't think most people would think of that story when you just mention comic book to them. You know what I mean? It's really unique. It's really beautiful. I love Black Science also. I think Black Science is really cool and going to some really unique places. Saga, of course, is just awesome. Shudder is another one that I really loved about the young photographer. I thought that one was really great. I mean, there are so many. I really, quite frankly, haven't read too many new titles from Image, but I haven't liked. I think they're putting out really high quality, really beautifully rendered work. I don't know. I'm really into Image right now. So, yeah.
Now, you mentioned that you're in Santa Fe. How did you link up? I assume Alex is back in Richmond. How did you link up virtually on the other side of the continent with Alex to help get this set up?
Well, we went to school together in Virginia. I'm from Virginia. Oh. I'm from Roanoke. So, yeah. I
That's
just
where
moved
my
back
brother
here
lives.
4 years ago. Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, I went to school at Roanoke College, actually.
Okay. Roanoke College, yeah. I know that area well.
But yeah, so you met in school, and then what? Had you paid attention to any of the other like comic subscription services like Thrillbent?
We looked at them. We think we're distinct from them, though, from really all of them. We're not sure anybody is really direct competition for us. I like some of the titles that Thrillbent is putting out, though. I really do. Their format is fascinating to me, how they've sort of split up pages to create this sort of smaller field of vision. I don't know, that's a really fascinating idea to me. I like what they're thinking about. But I think we're sort of going in different directions, doing a similar thing but not the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of the difference between, say, something like HBO Go or Netflix, which has, I mean, they both stream original programming, but there's something different in the presentation for both.
And something different in the aesthetic that they present, and yeah, exactly. We're sort of working in the same field, but not doing the same thing. So, but yeah, I don't know. We're fascinated by all the platforms that are trying to bring comics into sort of the next stage. So to speak, one thing we love about the digital platform is that you don't have to have space to store your comics. And that's one thing, a lot of the feedback we've been getting, a lot of fans have been responding to that and really responding to these sorts of platforms. And so we think we're headed in the right direction. Honestly, we hope we're all headed in the right direction. We think that indie companies really have to sort of stick together, especially in an industry like comics that's so heavily dominated by so few sort of colossal powerhouses. And so we hope that all of those guys are doing really well and doing the right thing for their plan as well. We hope we are too.
If you don't mind me asking, how has it been in the month and a half since you guys launched?
It's been great. It's been great, especially going to the Comic-Con. The Comic-Con was awesome, getting that face-to-face interaction with people. It really gave us a chance to sort of sculpt our pitch a little bit and sort of see how people reacted to things in real time. And one of the best things about it was how many creators got so excited when we started talking to them about our service. I started telling them that we give 60% back to the creators, and we don't ask for exclusivity. We don't ask for any creative rights. So, you know, when the movie deal comes along, or if another offer comes along that they like better, they're free to go to it at any time. We really want to create a super sustainable platform for these people. And we were really, really happy to find out that we think we've done that. We were really providing a lot of things that artists were asking about. And so it's been great. It's been really great. We've gotten a better response than we thought we would, which is always fantastic. So, yeah.
Oh, sweet, man. Now, something we ask everybody that comes on the show, Austin, what are you currently geeking out over?
What am I geeking out over? Oh, what am I not geeking out over right now? I'm always geeking out over about 10 different titles. I'm geeking out over a lot of things. I'm actually in the middle of a novel right now that I'm geeking out over. The 100-Year Flood by Matthew Salesses. It's really good. I'll give you an original answer. That's what I'll give you. I went back into my collection and I found the graphic novel series that Marvel printed in the 1980s. And they had a few like one-offs of titles like, you know, X-Men and Avengers and stuff like that. But then they had some really strange ones that are just like titles that appear nowhere else.
There's a Dracula one.
There's a Dracula one. I've been going through and reading those and really geeking out over those. I've really been loving those recently. I just finished the one for the Inhumans, and it was awesome. I loved it. So
yeah,
that's like sort of the era of comics I really, really love. So yeah, I've been geeking out over the Marvel graphic novels.
It was the Marvel. Isn't that the one also with the death of Captain Marvel? Wasn't that like one of them?
Yes.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I think because speaking of like kind of like comics and you know how people perceive them and whatnot, I feel like death in comic books is something that people like roll their eyes about all the time. But I feel like that's one of those books, The Death of Captain Marvel, where like I think that's one of the greatest death stories of all time because it's not this big throwdown, beatdown like Superman 75. Yeah, exactly. It's just this kind of quiet death thing. I think that's that's a really powerful moment in comics.
Sure. And one of those moments that's like, in my opinion, much more well rendered, much more well made, much more artfully made.
Absolutely.
Than like Death of Superman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I agree.
Anything in music or movies that you're currently kind of vibing off of?
I haven't had time for movies recently, unfortunately. I have been geeking out over SZA though. SZA, that singer. She's freaking awesome. She does like new hip hop and R&B.
Is she part of the Wu-Tang?
Twigs. She's not, just reminiscent of.
Inspired by Enter the 36 Chambers. Yeah. I do love me some Wu-Tang Clan, but that's just me. Well, Austin, is there anything else you'd like to kind of plug about Plume Snake before signing off?
I guess just that you can use promo code PSNWX1MT to get your first month free. And I'll type that up and send that to y'all.
Thanks.
And we would love to see anyone's submissions.
Yeah, I mean, come on, again.
Any creators out there?
Yeah, again, listeners, it's $5 a month for a subscription. First month's free. Hold off on that one Frappuccino a month, and you've essentially covered your subscription. Come on, you can do it. But
it's actually cheaper than the Frappuccino
Yeah,
that I
probably.
got today before by like a good 90 cents. And it was just a grande size.
Well, there you go.
well, Austin, thanks for coming on the show again. The link to Plume Snake Comics is in the episode description, and definitely if you've got a story to tell, certainly let them know. And if not, hey, again, $5 a month gets you access to the entire Plume Snake library. Austin, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks so much.
Well, there you have it. I mean, Plume Snake Comics again is only $5 a month.
Yeah.
For for a subscription to that.
Yeah. And we have that deal to get the first month free.
Yeah, the promo code is also in the description, so check that out. A lot of cool, self-published comic writers, including Austin. It really, I mean, again, it's like the same price of like a drink at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Or a single comic book from the big two.
Yeah, these days.
With digital download, I guess.
Yeah. The DC digital codes. Do they even do that anymore? I don't think they do.
I think they
I haven't seen them since Rebirth.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, but yeah, no, definitely check it out. And thanks again, Austin, for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's been pretty well established on this program that we are aficionados of Ghostbusters.
Pinkies up.
So this year we saw the first Ghostbusters movie in 27 years. Also similarly titled Ghostbusters.
Parentheses 2016.
Yeah.
Answer the call.
Yeah. Yeah, the marketing for this movie wasn't great, but the movie itself, let's talk about the movie itself.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so what'd you guys think?
I overall enjoyed it. I will. My biggest complaint about it, just to get it out of the way, is that it's a Paul Feig comedy. I do not like Paul Feig, and this is probably my favorite Paul Feig movie.
Would you say it's your favorite Paul Feig thing, like over Freaks and Geeks?
Oh, no. I would still put Freaks and Geeks up at the top, but I the only other even Paul Feig movie that I enjoyed was Bridesmaids, and this was better than that, probably because it had ghosts and they're in busting in it, but very it was funny. It basically, the first trailer I was like, ugh. And then each subsequent trailer got better and better and better, and it lived up to my expectations of the final trailer, where I was like, all right, this is going to be a movie that I can enjoy. I won't feel like I wasted my time. I'll probably even pay money for it and not feel like I was cheated out of my money. And it's true. I enjoyed it. There was Sam, I think you said as much, that there are a couple times where it just feels like it gets too much into the fan service of okay, guys, we get it.
Well, it's not so much the fan service. It's just that for me, the movie is, I mean, I enjoy the film overall as well, but it is a little uneven. Some jokes that aren't as funny as they think they are go on a little too long.
Oh my God, yes.
I think Leslie Jones does the slapstick better than Melissa McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
And Leslie Jones and Kate McKinnon are my two favorite Ghostbusters in the film.
Yeah. Oh, Kate McKinnon steals the show.
Yeah. And for me, Kristen Wiig, for the first half of the movie, she's got to kind of play kind of the straight woman role, kind of like the ringleader. But as soon as she starts to cut loose, she's great.
Yeah.
She's great in the film. And I remember watching the film, as we all did. The you get that prologue set in the haunted house, and of course the first two classic Ghostbusters films have their own prologues, and as soon as it segues into the Ray Parker
oh my
theme,
God,
yeah, huge fucking smile on my face.
I was so in it once the na 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 na, and I was like, oh my god, is it gonna be the real theme? Is it not gonna be that terrible Fall Out Boy song? Oh my god, and then it kicks in, and I'm like, fuck yes. Didn't do that in the theater.
Yeah.
Unlike the woman sitting next to me.
Oh, God, yes. I finally realized what it was like seeing a movie with the younger fuck off Josh version of myself. Seeing a movie back in the day.
Yeah.
And Yeah, Chris, now I can understand some of your resentment towards me.
And you know what?
Before.
And that woman was a lot older than us.
Yeah.
And she couldn't handle herself in a public setting.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much of it was the alcohol, too.
Guys, like, movies aren't rhetorical exercises unless it's like a build, like, quote along or sing along. And even then, come on.
Yeah.
You know?
Although she did do something. Like, she was enjoying the movie, you'd say, Chris, for, like,
She loved it, and
even the cameos.
Yeah, especially the cameos. Like there was the when Bill Murray came in, she was like, "Yes,
yeah,
oh yeah."
Which God bless Sony for finally acknowledging his wish.
Oh, okay. Spoilers for Ghostbusters. You know how the show works.
We're gonna be talking about spoilers.
Yeah, killing him off.
Yeah, which he said if he'd ever done a third movie, he wanted his character of it killed, which
the Han Solo treatment.
Yeah, which they never did in the video game, but for this film they finally honored his wish, which I feel like was the final nail of getting him to do this.
Yeah.
Also, if you ever wanted to see Bill Murray dress up as a pimp, you get your wish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Pimp Murray. Well, it's funny because I remember the Sam and I saw it with my sister, and right before we were like, "Who's your least favorite member of The Office?" And she was like, "Gabe." And the guy who plays Gabe is the guy in the beginning.
Woods, yeah,
it's pretty great. But yeah, I agree with you guys. You know, when the scream and the zoom in on the mouth and the Ghostbusters theme piece over with the skyline and everything. It's just it was great. I mean, I think we'd all kind of had leading into this. Maybe me probably less enthused out of the four of us. I mean, we're all enthused, but like I'm not I'm not as in love with the Ghostbusters as you guys are. And I remember being like, I'll see it. I'll definitely see it. I want to see what the hubbub's all about. But like, I loved it. Like, I saw it twice. One because we saw it, the opening night, and then my mom wanted to see it because I guess she's a big fan of the Ghostbusters. I never really knew that, but she was like, I gotta see it.
One of the first movies I saw in theaters with my parents.
And
I plan on going tomorrow to check it out in 3D. I hear the ghost effects are really cool.
Yeah, the main reason I wanted to see it a second time was because Kate McKinnon. Like I've enjoyed her on SNL, and her interviews are hilarious. Her wacky interviews because she's so unafraid to just do whatever she thinks is funny, and it's like my favorite performance of the year because she, it's just as I think challenging and engaging as like a super dramatic performance. Because if you watch that movie, it's like the Steve McQueen Magnificent Seven effect, where she's doing something in every scene, a facial tic, she's dancing, she's making like signs with her hands in the background, she's touching random people.
Yeah.
She's constantly, not just, I don't even say it's like bringing the attention to herself like Steve McQueen, but she's just having fun. And like in the interview, she's talked about
Yul Brynner.
Yeah, she's talked about messing with the hat.
Oddly enough, she is pissing off Yul Brynner.
But like just like and like her voice, like she has like that voice. She'll just throw stuff around and start singing random things, and they just let her go wild, which is the smartest thing you could do with Kate McKinnon because I think she's just like goes super bold with the whole performance, and I just loved every second of her on screen.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you guys will agree with this, but I felt she at certain points encompassed the three mainstays of the original series at different points. Like she had a lot of Egon going on, obvious, because I felt like that was the main.
Clearly, the hair was intentionally Egon from the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah, the main point for the fact that she was the one really designing most of the equipment. She had a lot of the improv, which with Bill Murray's character originally, a lot of his great lines from the film were just stuff he just did right off the cuff. And I feel like a lot of the times in this film, there was, obvious dialogue she had to say, but a lot of it, they just let her improv away. And then she had a few heart moments, which would encompass Dan Aykroyd's character.
Crazy on you.
Yeah. I like when, because I'm sure like in the script, it was just like say the line, but like she'll sing it. Yeah. Or, dance it or something.
Yeah, who knows what the B-roll,
Oh, my God.
Oh, God, I can't wait for that.
Well, again, I mean, you get 3 SNL veterans out of the 4.
Yeah.
And Melissa McCarthy's no stranger to comedy and physical stuff too. I mean, she I mean, I've always liked her since the Gilmore Girls days, I think she's really funny. And has a wackiness about her as well. But again, she's definitely, they tame it back a little bit more. Like, of course, her trying the proton pack and doing her best impression of a deflating balloon. Like, and it has funny moments like, like Sam was saying, but,
she definitely felt the most restraint out of all of them.
Yeah. Well, she's the one who takes busting the most seriously, like from the moment you meet her. Like, you know,
she's the most earnest.
Yeah, bringing in, you know, Kate McKinnon's the one they bring in to like build all the stuff. Like, she believes in it, but she has fun building it, you know. And then they have to really, you know, push Kristen Wiig to get back into it, you know. And then Leslie Jones is just great. I mean, Leslie Jones has some of the funniest lines in the movie. This is going to Queens.
Yeah.
The third scariest thing on that subway. But like, yeah, I overall, like, I had.
Sorry, as someone that frequented the New York subway system, I really appreciated that joke.
I just think it's like maybe the most fun I've had. Well, Civil War too, but like, you know, the most fun I had just watching a movie. It's just really fun.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
I was laughing more at that film than I was expecting to, and I have to say,
which is really good because you like had pulled your arm. Or you pulled your shoulder out of its socket or something like that on the way in. You were hurting. So like to hear you like just like guffawing next to me, I was like, oh, good. The movie's taking his mind off of the pain. That
I will say poor rendition of the Ecto Cooler drink they made there. I still wish we would have gotten Sam's version of it there.
Yeah.
It's for all those listening at home, it's just half Midori, half blue curacao, pour over ice.
And it is one of the best damn drinks I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it tasted well enough like an Ecto Cooler, but it wasn't green.
Yeah, which Chris, you said that once they added alcohol,
if you get
coloring.
Yeah, if you get the non-alcoholic one, it's green, but for whatever reason, the alcoholic one is like brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the big difference between the classic Ghostbusters, new Ghostbusters is in the kind of sense of humor, like you were kind of alluding to, Chris. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like the first two films, it's a little more subtle. It's a little more dialogue driven.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is a little more overt and a little more slapsticky in some parts.
Yeah.
I feel like both are definitely a product of the time they were.
Oh yeah.
Made in.
Yeah. I don't want, if you're going to give me a new cast of characters, I don't want a carbon copy of like, the other of the 80s Ghostbusters films. And thank God you can't like clearly map the new Ghostbusters to their classic counterparts. That's they should be their own characters, and they are, thankfully. For me, like perhaps the loudest or hardest I've laughed in a theater so far this year is there's a brief exchange between Kristen Wiig and Andy Garcia. Where Jaws gets invoked.
Oh, it's so funny. Like this, like all the mayors get together in the worst thing. Like in the Rocky universe, where you can call somebody a bum.
Yeah.
In the Ghostbusters universe, you call them the Jaws mayor. And I remember, like, I had to kind of explain to my sister why that was so funny. Like, you know, the idea that you know, in Jaws, you know, the mayor refuses to believe that this is a problem. And, you know, of course, Andy Garcia's
tourist season, Brody.
Yeah, refusing to, and that Kittner boy spills out all over the dock. You know, and having Andy Garcia just refuse the ghost.
Yeah. Well, at first he starts out he's
laughing like how fucking dare you?
Yeah. I'm Jaws mayor. That's good. Never call me.
Yeah, never call me the Jaws mayor. Never. And that was the hardest I laughed. Although the second time I saw it, the hardest I laughed was when Kristen Wiig asked what year it is, and Kate McKinnon's like, it's 2040. Our president's a plant. You were gone for 2 seconds. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really love the hell out of the movie.
Yeah, it's a fun movie.
If we're going by old Sam Stone, Jake Bozick, you know, how do you critique it? Would you buy it? Yeah, I would buy it. Yeah.
But what about new Sam Stone? Was there a bird in it?
Was there a bird?
There's a dragon.
There's pigeons. I'm
wings.
sure.
Yeah,
it's New York.
Pigeons,
There's creepy mannequins that walk on their own.
Yeah,
just
like Condemned: Criminal Origins.
Yeah, or Tourist Trap.
Yeah. But no, I mean it was.
How about Chris Hemsworth as the receptionist? Really?
That was one of the low points for me. He was too dumb. You know, like it just
was that one of those jokes that stayed too long.
Yeah, like I thought like the opening bit was cute, but like I don't know. It was just.
I wish they would have played on it more that Melissa McCarthy didn't find him attractive. Like they really do that once, and then later on she's kind of like, oh yeah. But like I wish that would have just been like she finds him repulsive, you know. But yeah, I thought the interview was funny. I think like smelling with your eyes, like that's so dumb that like. Props for they went with it and they just, you know, kept it. That's fine. I mean, it is like the dumbest thing in the world. I think the best thing I missed it the first time is when he itches his eye without the lens.
Yeah.
That's great.
I totally missed that. Yeah, and the entire theater uproar.
Yeah, I missed it the first time.
I was like, Josh, what did I miss?
Yeah.
And then while I'm asking him, they talk about it, and I'm like, oh, damn it, that would, and then he like does it again. And I'm like, okay, that's what I missed.
I like Chris Hemsworth. I think
I think he does a good job.
he does a good job.
He
for
did
his
a great
first,
job. I just didn't agree with
how stupid they had him go. I can see that, but I thought he was funny. I thought the floating beefcake line was pretty great, and just him being possessed. I thought he played that off well too.
I think if they had stuck with him either being really stupid or being really lazy, but not doing both. Like him refusing to answer the phone, and then when he does, he's like, "Well, I didn't want to talk to that guy." Yeah. Like he doesn't need to be an idiot for that to be funny.
Yeah, I also
and for him not being like sitting there trying to grab the phone inside the fish tank, he doesn't need to be a slacker for that to be funny.
Yeah,
I
do kind of wish though when he gets possessed. And he's like, see, this guy knows how to ride a motorcycle. And I wish he would have just fucking wiped out. You know what I mean? Because I was surprised.
Like John Hamm in 30 Rock?
30 Rock. I was surprised to learn that he knows how to drive a motorcycle. I mean, clearly he has it there, but like I would have just loved if he was just eating shit the whole way.
And
that would have been great.
In that respect, I can understand why he was so just like painfully stupid and whatnot, because then it was a great juxtaposition for when he did get possessed. You're like, oh, okay, this is clearly 100% a different person.
Yeah.
So like that on that element, I understand it. I just still don't.
Yeah. I mean, again, we all enjoyed it. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Favorite cameo, guys?
I was actually just about to ask that. For me, Dan Aykroyd. Well, Sigourney Weaver.
I would say Stay Puffed for just period, like as an Easter egg.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or the Harold Ramis bust.
That was a nice touch. Yeah.
The Stay Puffed, I would not call that an Easter egg. Just mincing hairs. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm bringing it up. But the Harold Ramis.
Next thing you'll tell me is about MacGuffins.
Yeah. and about how just because Steven Spielberg's a famous director doesn't mean he's right,
or that you are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. But the Harold Ramis one, I do agree that's an Easter egg, and that was a key one. Josh.
It's probably either Bill Murray or Sigourney Weaver. And favorite Easter egg would probably be where they're viewing the firehouse from the original and being told what the price is.
Yeah,
and they're
burn
just
in hell.
Yeah.
Also disagree on that being an Easter egg. But anyway, for me, Annie Potts.
Oh,
no love for Annie Potts?
Yeah.
I thought I heard you groan at that one.
There's no cameo I didn't like. No love for. No, she was fine. Check.
Oh yeah, it's Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver. Yeah. I didn't stay. I didn't know there was like a post credit scene.
Oh yeah. Oh, which going back to that woman from earlier. Woman. Out of everything she loved in the film, when they got to the post credit scene, she was just like, "Oh God, oh no." And that was the one thing she was adamantly pissed off about, which
she just refused to accept that Zool could exist inside this movie.
Yeah, which after everything else she'd gone through, and then says no to that, it's like, who the fuck are you?
That means Ghostbusters 3, we get the return of Vigo the Carpathian.
Yeah! I like Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, I like Ghostbusters 2. What is your least favorite part of Ghostbusters 2?
Ghostbusters 2.
I'm glad you can specify on that criterion. Yes, I'll be sure to grade accordingly.
Fine. My least favorite part of it is like it just takes everything they did in the first one, in my opinion, which can mean jack shit to the rest of the world. I'm okay with that. It just feels like they just shit all over all their accomplishments in the first one, just for the sake of putting them back in the
band back together scenario.
Yeah.
Blues Brothers 2000, and I'm the only one that gets that reference because I'm the only one that's seen it.
Yeah.
Saw that movie in theaters. Well, I guess Ghostbusters 2 as well, but Blues Brothers 2000 specifically. Well, you saw a couple movies, though, Josh. What are your opinions on those?
I also caught a double feature of The Secret Life of Pets and The Legend of Tarzan.
And they both shit on Ghostbusters.
Tarzan. Did you like Tarzan?
I did.
Was it better than Independence Day?
I still haven't seen that.
Shit.
I like this. I like to see films with people. I like the experience of experiencing it with others.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like seeing like films with people, and I was like, but you also saw The Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah.
There's people in it.
Yes,
There's CGI, but
Yeah, it's not Zootopia. That's true. Yeah. So, did you enjoy The Secret Life of Pets? I don't know why I said it like that.
I did kind of. It felt a little bit like a kid's version of Homeward Bound at times.
Oh,
Which is the kids' movie.
Well, but I mean, Homeward Bound feels more for like young adult teenagers, and The Secret Life of Pets
That's
is
fair.
something like you bring like 5-year-olds to.
Okay.
I
again,
feel.
I do feel like that's who it was marketed to. Though.
But you feel almost kind of like it plays down to its audience.
So, like super cutesy.
like Dora the Explorer.
It very much teaches a certain life lesson.
Oh,
I
boo.
feel.
Which is... Because so does Zootopia, and I fucking love Zootopia.
Yeah, well, Secret Life of Pets kind of has like a very real like adoption thing to it, where like if you're an actual kid and your family brings home like an adopted child, a feeling of you're no longer your parents' number one special thing.
Wait. The fuck? It's so it's like, but it does that through pets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of like Toy Story. Toy Story had the same kind of...
I feel like it's almost like Toy Story.
Actually,
I've heard a lot of people say that it's Toy Story with pets.
Now that you say that,
The Claw.
I go much more actually to that.
Okay.
It's
The
exactly
Claw is actually like a pest control like guy.
The Claw. Yeah, it could be. There is animal control in the film, but yeah, it felt.
There's a Dana Carvey.
It felt very much Toy Story with animals.
Okay. So like they're dead when people are around, and then when they leave, they come
Well, they
alive.
don't talk.
Yeah.
Well,
They don't listen to System of a Down.
Yeah. A
They-
song about masturbation.
They all can speak animal, regardless of what the language is. But everyone just hears, the
Barking and meowing and
Yep.
mooing and screaming. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's fair.
Okay.
But
That's
and
cool.
Tarzan was a lot better than I expected.
Yeah. I mean, I
How are those
I stand
rippling
by him.
abs?
Oh, eat off them.
Yeah. Takes too long to get there.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
a washboard.
Should have just been from the beginning.
Clean. Yeah.
Although I will say,
The movie should be projected on his abs.
Yeah. 8 different movies.
Ab vision.
every time when he's swinging, it looks like he's stretched out.
Yeah. Well, again, the CG,
Like a ridiculous,
Like Spider-Man style?
the biggest part of it, the
like
biggest problem.
Stretch Armstrong style.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, like the
Fantastic.
first Sam Raimi Spider-Man, like I had a problem with that. Every time he was slinging, it looked kind of like weirdly.
Yeah.
Disproportionate.
Even in
he
like
was-
2002, the CGI in the first Spider-Man was maybe not the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, for me, the CGI in Tarzan's like easily the weakest thing for me. Like, there's some shots where like they're clearly not where they are. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, it's a green screen. It's like 100% a green screen. You should have just stuck a green screen there instead with some leaves in the background.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I agree with you. He does have this like weird, like he just elongates when he swings.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like they're going like, look at how
Accordion
fast he
status.
is.
And hope you don't catch the really bad, disproportionate body he's become.
Yeah. But luckily, he really doesn't swing around that much. There's like 2
Yeah.
big scenes where he does.
I like the Tarzan yells he does.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's weird that like they do 'em almost back to back.
Yeah.
I was hoping they were going to save it for like the end, but I think the scream, like I had mentioned, that he does to let Christoph Waltz know that he's coming was pretty cool. And the way they play off like the actual legend of Tarzan, like that people know of him. There've been books written about him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They sing the song of Legend of Tarzan. I thought, again, I'm sure you like Margot Robbie too. She was pretty good.
Yeah.
She really tries to stress that she's not the damsel in distress because she does kick ass a couple times, which is cool.
She does well, and I love Samuel L. Jackson in it.
He was fun. He was really
You
fun.
know, him and his and Christoph Waltz's characters are actual people in like the development of Africa in the late 19th century.
Yeah, I know Samuel Jackson was like, I could do a whole movie just about my guy, like without Tarzan. He was fun. I mean, he's trying to be, keeping up with Tarzan in the woods, and it's clearly not happening. But yeah, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
So, Chris, I think you saw a live event,
I did. I went to a wrestling show yesterday.
an exhibition.
Yeah, I went up to Baltimore, Maryland, or sorry,
That means you were there at the same
Balmer.
time as Karen Gillan.
Yeah, apparently I was. Yeah. But I went up for a Maryland Championship Wrestling show. which this is my second one that I've been to. It's one of the more easily accessible local outfits to go check out, and it's a lot of fun. And they're a big enough name that they get a lot of cool special guests. The last time I went, Damian Sandow, formerly of the WWE, was the main guest, and then they also had Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Of course, for me, since I'm a relatively new wrestling fan, Kevin Nash is famous for like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, and The Punisher. But, whatever. This time around, they had Sting of the WWE Hall of Fame.
And call you Sting.
More specifically, the icon of the WCW.
He stuck around until like the end.
Yeah, he was one of the first acquisitions, and he was one of the last to flip the lights out when they closed down.
He did the thing where he looks back at the bar and he hits the lights and it says WCW created by Eric Bischoff. Which it really, I guess, wasn't, but no, that's fine.
By Ted Turner.
Ted Turner.
But yeah, so he was there. He did a fun little introduction. Then I got to enjoy some.
Did he woo? Did he go?
Of course he wooed.
Woo! I like his woo so much better than fucking Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Get out of here, Ric Flair.
Yeah. And he did the point thing where he points over his head.
Yeah.
The fusion dance?
Yeah, pretty much. That's how he points at the audience. But yeah, no, it was fun bunch of matches. I had no idea it was going to be as long as it ended up being. I thought it was only going to be like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It ended up being like 3.5 hours. Ooh. Yeah, and that is not an air conditioned room, so I was dying. But lots of good matches. If anyone does watch wrestling, NXT's Tommaso Ciampa was there, and he put on an amazing show against local boy Leo Rush for the Shane Shamrock Memorial Battle Rumble Royale, whatever it was. It has its own name, and it was a match that I didn't quite recognize, but it was basically an elimination match / lumberjack match / not really any of those. But it was really fun, and I marked out hard, which is an in term for forgetting that it's all fake and just getting really excited with what I'm seeing, essentially. And I also got to meet my favorite women's wrestler from that outfit, Brittany Blake, and she complimented me on my Leva Bates shirt, who is another female wrestler who apparently they've tagged with a lot in the past. Yay! Wrestling.
Woo! Good old wrestling.
Woo! You do anything interesting, John?
Don't lift the veil.
Fuck the veil.
It's not maybe not interesting, but the only thing I can think of is I've dubbed it the Summer of Schwarzenegger, and I'm watching all of his films, every single one of his films.
Is that why you got your hair cut like him?
No, I didn't. I got my hair cut because it's hot outside, and I work outside a lot now. And
that's why I trimmed the beard.
When I get rid of all that noise. But
you saw the zombie one he did, right?
Maggie? That's a weird one. It's his performance is interesting, and I like Abigail Breslin, and it's an interesting take on the zombie genre. I did not like the end, and I wasn't even a big fan of the movie, but I thought the performances were interesting, and because Schwarzenegger, when he's quiet and stoic, he's a very different presence than obviously like Commando Schwarzenegger, Predator Schwarzenegger, Schwarzenegger. But it was interesting. And then I watched that, which is basically like his most recent film, that and like Terminator Genesis, I guess. And then I watched Stay Hungry, which is a film from 1976 where he won the Golden Globe for like best newcomer performance because he considers that's his first film, not Hercules in New York, mostly because doesn't like that movie. I hate's a strong word. And then he also, goes by Arnold Strong in that movie, and he's dubbed.
Yeah, strong word in it completely.
Yeah,
he doesn't speak an actual line of his own.
Yeah,
dialogue.
I mean it's dubbed
unless you watch the Arnold dubbed version,
and then
which is readily available.
He took forever for that to get released. He's figured it wasn't. Anyway, but it's got Jeff Bridges, kind of like young early Jeff Bridges. It's got Robert Englund. It's got Sally Field, and it's got Arnold. And Arnold's performance, I think one of the reasons it works so well is because he's playing an Austrian bodybuilder who's training to win Mr. Universe. But he's very good in it. Like, it's based off a book
So he's playing himself.
I mean, basically, and the crazy thing is, he was 250 when he was offered the role, and they're like, you need to be down to 210 because the camera adds pounds, and if you show up in like Mr. Olympia physique with 250, you're going to look like a fucking massive muscle. And so he had like, I guess a couple weeks, and he just, with his crazy, amazing determination, dropped down to 209. Because the director said, if you're over 210 when we weigh you before filming, you're not getting this role. And so he just, changed his entire diet plan and workout plan and slimmed down to 209, and he still looks like a massive beast. He trains out in like they call it a Batman suit, because I think in the book he wears a Batman suit, but in this he's wearing just like a cape and a cowl, and he's just like, I think it's funny, and he just like works out as dressed up as like a weird looking like almost Mexican wrestler. But yeah,
no wonder you liked it.
Yeah, seriously. But no, it's interesting rewatching like all of his movies. I don't know. I don't know why I'm doing it. There's no reason why, really, but it's fun.
Is there ever a reason, Jake?
No, there's never. But I'm 13 films in, so, and I'm not doing it even in order, which is even stupider. Like, I'm just, hey, I haven't seen Jingle All the Way in a while. Here we go.
Yeah, you could be seeing like Escape Plan next.
Oh yeah. Do I own that accidentally? No, I don't, because I thought
that was just Bullet to the Head.
Bullet to the Head and Spike Lee Old Boy. So
there's also, you saw The Last Stand recently as well.
I rewatched that too. That when Arnold's on screen, it's a lot of fun. That was his return to form, because 10 years, after he did Terminator 3 and he was done being the Governor, he did The Last Stand with Johnny Knoxville and
how do you feel, Sheriff?
Yeah, old. But he's fucking fun in that movie. Like that's fun. Arnold is back. There's like not even a subplot. Just they have to flesh out the rest of the movie. And anytime he's on screen, I'm so uninterested in that movie.
What about Sabotage? But directed by Suicide Squad director David Ayer.
It was on Netflix, and I started watching it, and I just did not like. I'm gonna have to watch it, but
you must
have to. Yeah,
well, I mean,
Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
Arnold.
Yeah. Arnold.
Got Joe
Manganiello's in it. I mean, like, there's some performances that are
any more reason.
I know. There's some performances that are just so horrendous in it, but he's interesting in it. But I mean, I gotta watch it. I wish it was still on Netflix.
That's the drug cartel.
Yeah, and they steal money, and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. He's kind of got the Fury haircut going on, but it's like way shorter.
Although I had caught Genesis, Terminator Genesis on Amazon recently, and
yeah, me too.
I love old dad Terminator Arnold.
Yeah, Pops.
Yeah, he is just. That's probably one of my most favorite performances.
Him and
of
Emilia
him,
Clarke are great in that movie.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that Terminator. I really do.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to.
Too bad you won't see any more of that Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Or Matthew Smith is whatever. Matthew, that's right.
That's right, yeah.
He bills himself as Matthew Smith.
Yeah.
The throw off the scent.
Yeah.
Of the Hoovians.
I'm still a little confused about that subplot, but otherwise, I thought it was okay.
There's a lot about that movie that I'm confused about.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But
Like
Pops,
why it was made.
Pops is great.
Pops is
why
fun.
it kept going after the 20-minute mark.
Yeah.
Pops.
But that's if you guys consider it interesting, that's what I've been doing.
I do.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Splendid.
Sam, anything you got?
Come on.
Been working.
Yeah, Ghostbusters was it, man.
Catching Pokemon.
Prepping for San Diego.
Kind of. Not real. I haven't even packed. And I mean, I was trying to line up some interviews for this show. And, if you see someone here, awesome. It'll be a surprise to me, too. So, but so we'll see. Yeah,
It'll be a happy surprise, though.
Well, I would assume.
I'd be happy.
Yeah. So we'll see what's going on. We'll do the full on debrief. But yeah, thanks again to Austin Eichelberger and Plume Snake Comics for coming on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Again, check it out. Check out and use the promo code in the episode description. And yeah, this has been another installment of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
I'm Josh.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Eric Bana.
This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a new commentary every Monday. We've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.